Welcome to the Chamber Neighbors Podcast, a show highlighting Chapin's community and commerce. Now here's your hosts, Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Paul Sadler, and Chapin Neighbors Magazine's Daniel Rendelman.
This is Daniel with the Chapin Neighbors Magazine.
And I'm Paul Sadler with the Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce.
And Paul, who are we talking to today?
Daniel, you'll never believe this.
Okay.
But we have a treat.
We have a treat today?
We do. And we've got Attila Kossanyi with us with Ruoff Mortgage.
Kossanyi with Ruoff Mortgage. And can you say that 3 times really fast?
Attila Kossanyi. No, I can't. It's actually pretty difficult. Man, welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, we are glad to have you here. And, I'm sure you hear plenty of jokes about the name.
The name, lots of jokes when I was younger.
Okay.
I really did not like my name in elementary school. As little boys are, they can be pretty mean to each other, especially and they like to make fun of things. And there used to be this old cartoon called the McGilla Gorilla Show.
Okay.
And it was about this gorilla that was in a pet shop. And the joke was at the time, it was Attila McGilla Gorilla. So,
Daniel, why are you laughing?
Because we were talking about the name of Ruoff Mortgage.
You names? We would never
do that. How rude is that?
Now, I will say, when I got to high school, and there was this beautiful blonde young lady who was at summer camp, and she goes, she can listen. She has nothing to fear. I've long since lost track of her, but she was the first person who said, I really like your name. And I was like, at that point, so did I.
Yes.
There is a chance on our viral podcast that she's listening right now. And she needs to find you. How does she connect with you?
I'm sure at the end we'll have all his contact information.
That's right.
We will get to that a little bit later. But Attila, tell us a little bit about your business. Ruoff Mortgage, am I saying it properly?
Yes, you are saying absolutely properly. Ruoff Mortgage is headquartered in Indiana. In Fort Wayne, as a matter of fact, beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they are celebrating their 40th year, or we are celebrating our 40th year. I've been with them. December will be 4 years. So it is absolutely the greatest place that I have ever worked. And I just absolutely love the way we do business there and the way we care about people long after the deal is done.
Okay.
So
that means a lot to people, right? To be taken care of even after you do that transaction. I feel like a lot of times, when we do a deal or we try to make a transaction, it's a done deal. We'll go.
Absolutely.
You'll go one way, I'll go the other, and we never cross paths.
Absolutely.
So that's great to hear that even after that transaction, you're keeping up with these folks.
It's one of the reasons I actually joined the chamber is because we need to, as lenders and as realtors, we need to know everybody in town. Because when we're trying to put a mortgage together, and maybe it's a FHA mortgage, and the FHA requirements have some things that there's peeling paint in the house, or maybe they need a guardrail installed. I need to know everybody who can get there, fix that house in time, and be ready to go so that we can close on time.
You're absolutely right. So all of you mortgage lenders that are listening right now that are not part of the Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce, listen to this man. You should be a Greater Chamber partner.
Absolutely. So Ruoff, you've got the years of experience. So is this your first rodeo being a mortgage lender?
Oh, gosh, no, sir. I actually, in August, I just celebrated my 20th year of being a loan originator.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I've worked for a number of different companies. They will remain nameless. Some of them are still in existence, some are not.
Okay.
So I started 20 years ago. And I will state that I was doing what I like to refer to as dialing for dollars. And those were, we bought leads from the internet, lower my bills, they would ask you if you wanted to get 3 lenders to call you. Well, we were one of those lenders that would call you. And my very first mortgage was done in Florida. I lived in Ohio, and my very first mortgage was done out of Florida. And I remember that time well because it was very similar to the time that we have just gone through now, where home appraisals were going crazy. The value of homes were going up at lightning speed. And I remember talking to the president of the company going, if this keeps up for another 2 years, nobody's going to be able to buy a home. And he says, don't worry, that bubble will burst.
So what you're saying is right now there's hope for that bubble to burst and for people to be able to afford homes again.
Yeah, and there's lots of opportunities. The big hurdle for many people is their down payment. Nowadays, it doesn't take 10% or 15 or 20% to buy a house.
No way.
You can get it down to as low as 3% and on a conventional mortgage. We also offer programs that kind of give them a zero down opportunity, with some lending assistance to be able to pull that off.
Okay.
Well, and I have to jump in here. Chapin is such a loving community, especially to our veterans and to our folks with the military, past and also present. And I've heard that Ruoff does some things for them. I wanted to hit on that just kind of early because this is pretty amazing in what you're able to do to help folks that have helped our country.
My two most favorite clients are first-time home buyers. I love helping people, and that's why I'm in this business, and we'll touch on that in a little bit, I imagine. But the other group is the veterans. For the same reason that you just described, I just have a great respect for veterans and what they do for our country. I understand the sacrifices that they go through, and so does Ruoff. And so Ruoff does not charge any lending fees for our veterans. That is our gift back to them.
No fees, no lending fees.
No lending fees from Ruoff. So that there is still closing costs involved, but that's the appraiser and that's the attorney's fees and things like that.
So this could save a few pennies?
It's going to save about $1,500.
That's big penny. That's a lot of pennies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as a veteran, using a VA loan, you already have the opportunity of a zero down. There's no requirement down payment for them. There's no mortgage insurance for them using using the VA loan. And then couple that with our not charging any lending fees, they're saving all kinds of money. It's quite truthfully, if you can get a VA loan, I think it's one of the best loans out there.
Wow. You're taking care of the people who took care of serving this country and protecting this country.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's awesome to hear.
So Attila, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then of course what sets you apart there.
So I come from an immigrant family. I'm first generation American.
Wait a minute, Attila is not.
So Attila's not. Wait, what?
Not exactly. I was born here, but
Chapin?
No, not in Chapin. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
I wonder if you're the first Attila in Chapin.
Actually, I'm not.
You're not.
I actually had the privilege of having dinner and lunch with another Attila here in Chapin. They live in Timberlake.
So show. Okay, sorry.
It's the first time I've actually sat down with another Attila.
How crazy is that?
And so for you guys with Paul and Daniel, I'm sure you've met other Pauls or Daniels in the world. For me to shake his hand the very first time and say, hi, Attila, that was very odd for me.
That is very odd.
So, yeah. So anyways, I was born and raised in Cleveland.
Are you a Browns fan?
I am a Browns fan, and I bleed scarlet and gray. So Ohio State, go Bucks, OH.
So it takes two Ohio fans to spell their name.
Well, true.
It does.
Well, that's true.
It does.
I-O.
See,
that's right. All right. So I was born in Cleveland, happily married, going to be 30 years this upcoming June.
All right. Congratulations.
Absolutely love my wife, Kim. And we have two adult children. My son, Noah, he is in the racing industry. He lives up in Traverse City, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter, Kelly, who just graduated from the University of Cincinnati and is trying to figure out what's coming up next for her.
Go Bearcats.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
My former boss was a UC graduate. So, yeah.
Lots of cool people come from UC.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know.
Anyhow, my family as immigrants, their love and desire was broadcasting, actually. And so they started a radio station that was designed for immigrants. So German, Hungarian, Polish, French, Spanish speaking, all of the above. And as you may not be able to tell by my voice, but English is actually not my first language. Hungarian is.
Really?
And it's very interesting when we go to Hungary, because we visited there numerous times, is I don't have an accent in either direction. So
Paul speaks Hungarian when he goes to the buffet.
I am hungry.
That's right. So I started in sales at a very early age in life. And the reason that I love doing mortgages is because I could choose any industry to be in sales. I could be in boat sales. I used to work at the Bass Pro Shop. I was the business manager there in the boat department. I love to do anything on water. I could do any kind of sales out there. The thing I love most about doing mortgages is the thing that I love to do is help people. It took me a long time to figure out what the path was to, really, because when I was doing boat sales, it kind of felt a little shallow, to be honest with you.
Depends on how deep the boat is.
Did I a softball for you?
It was easy.
Full of jokes.
It was easy.
That was an easy one. So, anyways, it just was not super rewarding as far as that's concerned. I loved, and I was doing all this for everybody else, but I wasn't getting to do any of it myself at the time. But mortgages, what better thing to put a roof over someone's head, whether it be their very first home and that joy and the excitement, or maybe it's their dream home, like living on Lake Murray.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of dream homes I drive by on my boat all the time.
There
and see on Lake Murray.
There are.
So, which is what brought us here. Was the lake. I grew up on the shores of Lake Erie.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati is kind of the purgatory of water. It has the Ohio River, but I wouldn't stick my toe in it. And so I wanted to be back on big water and not up north where the snow was.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to prolong my boating opportunity.
Lake Murray is quite the
jewel.
Quite the jewel. The jewel of Lake Murray is actually.
We should trademark that.
I think we should. We'll look into that. And Chapin is the capital of Lake Murray, so they say.
That's what they tell me.
And we get lots of folks moving down, from your neck of the woods, from Ohio, from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They're wanting to come down to get that piece of the pie, right? They want that lake living, they want that, and so
sunshine.
Yeah,
in February.
Yeah, absolutely, which is really nice. So if someone's coming down here from Ohio or from New York, and what's their first step? Like with you, do they just go talk to a realtor first and say, hey, show me this $1.7 million home? Or do they call you first? Like, what are those steps?
I think that's one of the things that sets me apart. Daniel, you asked me what sets me apart. Besides the aspect of caring, that I do this because I really love to do it. I have a lot of experience. Like I said, I grew up on the shores of Lake Erie, so that was technically my first lake house. We had bought a small lake house in a private community in Southwest Ohio as well. It was a whopping 800-acre lake as opposed to Lake Murray at 50,000 acres.
Wow. It's a little bit bigger.
It's just a tad bit bigger. One of the coves is probably 800 acres around here. So anyway, and we spent quite a bit of time looking. So one of the things that I'm happy to offer my clients, any excuse to get me on my boat, I'm happy to do. So when they come and visit and they want to look around, I'm happy to take them around and kind of give them my learning experience about, do you want to be on the big open water? What are the pros and cons of that? Do you want to be in a quiet cove? What are the pros and cons of that? Do you want a sunset view or a sunrise view? All of them have their own benefits and drawbacks. So I share with them all of that information, as well as get them pre-approved so they know what they can afford. Quite honestly, getting pre-approved on any house, that truly is your first step. The realtor is the next step.
So the first step is reaching out to a mortgage lender like yourself.
Who has a boat.
Right, who has a boat.
In this area, who has a boat.
So being pre-approved, which I think is key to kind of get an idea, because the last thing you want to do is, go shopping and think you can afford a BMW, and then you really should be at the used car lot getting a Pinto.
Right. Exactly. I think that's because you don't want to disappoint people. You don't want to be disappointed thinking you can buy a $800,000 house, but really in essence you can buy $100,000, which is nothing wrong with that. But you need to know so you know where to look.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And with that, kind of a history of Ruoff. Am I saying it properly?
You are saying it properly.
Okay.
You got it right the first time and the second time.
All right. So tell us a little more about them and kind of your relationship with them.
Well, let me start with Ruoff's mission statement because I think it sets us apart as a lender as well. Our mission is to make positive difference in our communities, one home at a time. We believe that being environmentally sustainable in the mortgage process, prioritizing employee wellness. Remember, I said it's the greatest place I've ever had to work. Engaging in volunteering and cultivating partnerships with people and organizations. Do you know any place I could volunteer?
I do. Yeah, I know a few. Absolutely.
For us to be conscious of our economic, environmental, and social impact. All right.
So your mission statement isn't just saying, hey, we're going to go sell mortgages.
We're not just going to be the best lender.
We're not just going to be the best lender. We want to empower our people. We want the health and wellness of our people. We want the mental aspect of it, of volunteering and helping other people. It's not just about let's go sell another mortgage.
And the outgrowth of that is with our sales force. I'll speak to myself, is I love to educate my borrowers. I believe that an educated borrower allows for a stress-free closing. Goes back to our mental health. If you're stressed out, am I going to be able to close right up until the closing day? That's not healthy. That's not good.
Sure.
And we're able to close in as fast as about 2 weeks in many cases.
2 weeks.
Yeah, our average close time right now is about 16.
It's like start to finish.
That's from contract, when you go under contract on a house, till closing day.
2 weeks.
Well, till cleared to close. So
wow.
The realtors determine what the closing day is. Many times we're cleared to close, days before that. Yeah.
It's pretty fast.
Yes.
That's a fast process.
We used to be the national sponsor for NASCAR, and I always said we had to go fast.
You have to. Yes, indeed. Well, man, listen, we are so glad that you're here in Chapin, that you're doing business in Chapin, and that you chose to join the chamber to get those networking.
I think it's where I first met Attila.
Yeah,
was networking ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Yep, that's right. That's right. And so I think, the more that you get, not speaking directly to you, but talking to our listeners, the more that you get out there in our community and be a part of the community and network with other folks, the better off you're going to be when you need a plumber or a HVAC guy or a mortgage guy.
There you go.
Right?
That's
So
right.
are there any myths about mortgage lending that people you could dispel?
I don't know if they're myths necessarily. There are things that happen in the process that I will forewarn people about. Doesn't matter whether it's with Ruoff or anybody else. The minute you apply for a mortgage, the lender is going to run your credit, which he has to do that, or she has to do that. The sad part of our industry is twofold when it comes to that. One, the score that you get via Credit Karma or Experian, whatever you're seeing, is never the same score we see. And that's one of the banes of my existence in this field. The second is, the minute I pull credit, your phone's going to start ringing off the hook, unless you do what we offer our clients, is to opt out. I'll send you an email ahead of time before I pull your credit, and to opt out so that you don't get barraged by telemarketers, from every corner of the world, literally, calling you. So those are the two things that drive me crazy.
What are they calling them?
They're calling to offer you because what happens is the credit bureau sells that name and that contact information.
No way.
Absolutely. So I've literally been taking an application on the phone. My bad. They didn't opt out fast enough, and I pulled credit on them, and they were literally, the wife is in the background answering phone calls.
Oh my goodness.
We're not interested. We're already set up with someone. Thank you.
Right.
But it gets really annoying.
Oh yeah.
After
that could definitely relieve some stress.
Yeah.
That in the boat.
That's the boat. And his name's Attila.
There's never a bad day on the water
to do business.
So when you're not working, what's going on?
Well, as I've already mentioned, I love to do anything on the water. It doesn't matter whether I grew up water skiing as a kid. My kids learned how to water ski at 2.5.
Oh, fun!
And so I've worked summer camps, Christian summer camps up in the Adirondack Mountains of New York.
Ooh, cool.
With an organization called Young Life. Some of you may have heard that that group. arguably the best non-denominational youth program out there. So I volunteered with them for 10 years. But like I said, what I'm doing for fun right now is anything to do with the water. I'll go kayaking. I'll go, parasailing. I was a parasail.
Shower.
That's a
Slightly higher standard than that. So,
getting used to this chamber neighbors.
Dang.
I used to be a parasail boat driver. That's always yeah.
It's not just go fast.
No.
Every conversation with him, I'm just learning more. And I really feel like that's just brings a lot of greatness to our community.
Absolutely, because we're all different and we all bring something different and unique to our community.
And I'm also a licensed drone pilot. So
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So that's goes back to the days of having a video production house and loving to do video work. And then when I got into the real estate side of the mortgage lending, because there was refi business, which that was just a transaction. I didn't really enjoy that part of the business. I still do them but I do them now with people I have relationships with.
Right.
And that's for me the nice side of the purchase side of the business is I develop a relationship with my buyers, with the realtors that are my referral partners, all of those kind of things.
That's fascinating. For sure.
Can you, Attila, just describe maybe like one hardship during your career that you may have had, and then maybe what you did to overcome that hardship? Is anything that comes to mind?
I would say, so when I started in that first company, and I was doing all those refis, I really enjoyed working with the people that I got to work with in the company, but the owner sold the company. So then I got introduced to, he got me set up at another company where we were doing subprime lending. And I know subprime can have a bad name. There's Dave Ramsey has talked to me and taught me about there's really I believe there's no bad products. There's bad applications of products. And this was at a time in lending when, the market was crashing, the bubble had burst, and literally the company that I was working for, the manager there was not the kind of person that I would want my daughter to hang out with. Let's just put it that way. Needless to say, I didn't want to hang out with.
Sure.
There was just some stuff going on. So I moved to yet another company. Still, the subprime industry was still going on. That was a major lender. Really enjoyed working with them. It was challenging though, because it wasn't, again, remember I told you I wanted to do things to help people? The subprime lending wasn't a kind of mortgage that I personally want to have for myself, and I don't like to do things for people that I wouldn't do for myself.
Sure. Yeah.
But they liked me enough. They offered me a position in their regular lending on the residential side. However, it was 30 miles from my house through rush hour traffic every day. And I did not want to go that far. So that was in northern Kentucky they wanted to send me to. That was the only open branch. It was a national bank. And so that was a difficult time for me. So I was getting out of lending for a little bit, refinding my way. And then I got back into it, with working on the purchase side only. So.
What I hope our listeners hear is there's a phrase that says that facts tell, but stories sell, right? Stories connect us. You could just say, well, I had this subprime thing, and there was this mortgage rate, and there was this, and there was all these numbers, but you're telling us your story. And I think that's, of course, part of the benefit of our podcast and hearing that, getting to know you. So what's maybe kind of finishing up here? What's something that you wish people knew about you and maybe your business?
Well, as far as about me, is that I care. And I know that sounds cliche, but a local pastor, Ray, here this past week, asked the congregation a question, or two questions actually. Who are you and what are you doing here? And I thought those were perfect questions for our conversation today. We've talked about my name. But what I'm really all about is I feel that I'm a blessed child of God, and I don't take that blessing lightly, and I try to do that for others. And my goal is to serve others. I could choose, as I said earlier, I could choose to sell anything, but I choose to do this because I think it's the best opportunity to help people. whether that be a veteran, whether that be a first-time home buyer, whether that's somebody who's trying to find their dream home, and do it in a responsible, respectful manner.
Can't get any better than that.
Man.
You want to
I don't even know what to say.
I mean, hey, let's get some folks to Attila so he
Okay.
can serve them
All right.
and get a mortgage.
So what are the
Get a
best
roof
ways
over
for
their
folks to reach out to you?
That's right.
Well, the easiest way is you can text me, my text number or my phone number. And oh, by the way, I don't keep bankers' hours. They can text me whenever, and that's how I operate.
Nice.
I work when they're available. And so my number is 513-315-8961. 513.
We'll put that in the description on the podcast as well.
Or they can reach out to me via email. And that would be at Ruoff, RUOFF.com/Attila Kossanyi. And I imagine you'll put that in there.
We'll make sure that gets spelled correctly.
We'll put the link there.
We'll put the link there in the description below. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, great. This has been great. It's been great learning a little bit more about you, about your why you do what you do. I think that's so important. And we're happy to have you here in Chapin. Happy to do business with you, and we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
This has been the Chapin Neighbors Podcast, where we highlight all that makes our community special. We hope you enjoyed our time together. Please like, subscribe, and share the Chapin Chamber Neighbors Podcast.